Hey, beautiful event family. Hope you guys are all doing great this week. Spring is definitely in a full effect here now. We had some more rain and got back from San Diego from Liberty's Horizon to spring in full effect. Everything's in bloom. This is like ambrosia, sweet ambrosia in the air, and the bees are just flocking to every flower they can. I am so thrilled at this time of the year, especially because it gets dark so late, so I can really take in a lot of the day. I am so grateful for this time of year, and I hope you guys are getting some of that spring loving wherever you are. Unless you're in the southern hemisphere, I hope you're enjoying your late fall as you move into winter. I know that's a wonderful time as well. Speaking of San Diego and Liberty's Horizon, wow, what an event. I wanted to recap just a couple lessons I learned from this event last weekend. I was so fortunate enough to be asked to speak at that about privacy solutions for the internet and for moving forward in personal agency with our digital selves, if you will. And one, I got to hang out with Devin, Vrana, and Josh Del Sol in person for 3 days. Oh, that was priceless. Fellow event coordinators. I've never even met Devin in the real, so it was everything that I thought it would be. You know, there's something really powerful about connecting with like-minded soul family in the person, in the real. It's, I am just still high off it. And everybody else that was there, if you were there and I got to meet you in person, thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being present. I mean, this was a seminal, life-changing event for me, and I think many people who were there. Shout out to Michael, Betrano, and Shiloh for putting all their hard work into this last weekend. It really showed, and all the volunteers and everybody, the security guys, everybody involved with the event were stellar. Quality characters and individuals, and just beautiful living men and women. So can't say enough about my experience in San Diego last weekend. As far as lessons learned, lots of knowledge and wisdom from there were legends there. There were in our space, in the sovereignty space, people like Wayne Hicks, and you'll learn all about Marcia as she's kind of come out into the public from the private. And she was a profound presence there. And if you did purchase the digital package, I highly recommend watching her talk. Catch my talk as well. And what else? Who else really? Christo really hit me in a profound way during his talk. And there was just so many highlights from the weekend. So definitely, if you haven't, it's not too late to go in and purchase the digital package so that you can watch these replays, because it was magical and the production was very well done. Actually sat down to an interview by Jeff Weitzman, which they interviewed everybody there and are making a documentary film out of this. So a lot coming out of this last weekend. But the biggest takeaway for me is more being, less doing. And what we mean by that is everything comes in our reality comes from the law of attraction, this idea of magnetism, right? And that if we are being within the way and we are doing the work internally, then we will attract in our lives what we want. And it relieves so much stress and so much pressure to feel like you need to go out and do things to change the world, right? And to do the right paperwork. We talked a lot about function over form, or really the internal reality over the external. And this is a very, very, very important aspect of not only being in the private and being sovereign, but in terms of being a human, being a living man or woman in this realm. So I took a lot from that. Another little lesson I learned too, which is related to this, was I was talking to Marcia about her town, Nevada City, and I asked her, hey, what's the overall climate there? Is it a climate of fear still? I've heard it's kind of more liberal, people still masking, blah, blah, blah. And she said, I don't know. I don't really care. I don't really notice those things. And I was taken back for a second. I was like, great point. Once again, no judgment. living in your own strength. If you're truly empowered within your own sort of internal terrain, those externalities of whether people are wearing masks or in fear really aren't that important. So I was very much amused by that answer in a good way. And it was definitely a very good lesson for me. And that's what I love being around these elders, these really brilliant people who have been around the ringer, gone through the ringer for many decades and have learned their lessons and are here to share with us. So yeah, definitely Liberty's Horizon was next level. I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already. And we look forward to our event this summer. So please, if you haven't already, we have a form where you can put in feedback for what you're looking to get out of our event this summer at the end of July. And we look forward to hearing from you. Have a blessed week. Love you guys.
Hello, dear The Event Soul family. This is Josh Del Soul, and this is what's coming up for me on this week's journey, in particular, and in light of having a rather amazing experience in person for about 5 days in San Diego at the Liberty's Horizon Symposium. I just want to highlight and share some really key gems for me, some really inspiring takeaways with you all. First of all, what an event. There was 20 plus speakers over 2 days, and everybody, there was just this unified field that was created, that everybody is basically on the same or a very similar page in terms of the essence of what we are trying to do, of our shared intention, of coming from the place of heart, of consciousness, of service to mankind, of service to the all. And from that place, walking out the steps for our individual and collective emancipation and freedom is just such a beautiful experience to be with Soul Family. So I wanted to start by something that the founder, Michael Bertrano, said, and this wasn't emphasized. It's just something that I really picked up when he said, there is always common ground. There's always common ground, both within our movement of people who are awake and waking up and moving on the positive timeline for mankind. And there's always common ground amongst all of our brothers and sisters all over the planet, no matter what their perspective. There's always common ground. It's kind of like the idea that there's always remedy. There's always remedy for a problem. There's always solution and remedy. You just need to seek a higher jurisdiction or seek the next steps of it. But just like there's always remedy, there's always common ground. There's commonalities that we all share. And sometimes we have to take a step or two or three back, or be humble in bringing the conversation back to what that common ground is, so we can move forward with a semblance of together, of understanding, of, I would say, not trying to win an argument so much. That's up for me, but rather to build the bridge, to make that the priority, rather than defeating the adversary. Because this leads into what Marcia Ann shared. She was the first speaker on the schedule, and she shared about the art of subduing the adversary or an adversary without fighting. Really just embodying the unity, the peaceful resolution process, and that we are not enemies of the state. They may have actually passed a law in the United States decades ago, in the range of, I think, almost 100 years ago, that specifies from their perspective that all the people, all the citizens are actually enemies of the state. And so that justifies, in their view, how they treat these enemies of the state. So one of the aspects in walking out this peaceful resolution path is to remove that assumption. We will find that a lot of this will have to do with removing the assumptions and the things that we've tacitly or implicitly agreed to. Tacit acceptance, right? Assumption. These are all tools that the matrix system kind of uses against us. So Marcia talked about the art of subduing adversary without fighting, and just such a brilliant talk. I can't wait to share that talk in full with you all. What a soul this woman is, after having operated behind the scenes for decades, and now, coming out and speaking at a very high level, a level of significant depth, where she's embodying her message. And that message really is that presence and being and magnetism leads instead of the doing leading. So it's this inside-out shift that many of us are aware of, and actualizing that. So if we're looking at, creating a movement, or, supporting the movement in whatever way, it's not so much, externally motivated. It's not done with traditional business and organizational methods. Even it's often even not even the same kind of envisioning process that's results based, but it's more of an inside-out process that I feel we're being called to. So it's very tempting to say to start from the external and go in to see what needs to be done out there, and then let's set out and accomplish it. But and Marcia just embodied that when we come from a place of the primacy being presence and being and magnetism, and doing our inner work. And that, for me and many others, that might entail finding someone in a safe environment that you can really do some inner child healing, that inner connective work. Because the power of the soul, the bringing the different pieces together, allows more of our own divinity to come through. And the fighting oneself to dissolve and to diminish, and the energy and the expression to increase. So that was really a moment for me, even when Marcia just took the stage, and how she finished off with the letter that Albert Einstein wrote to his daughter about the real meaning of his work, and how the real meaning of Einstein's work, he said to his daughter, is about love. It's about, and the way that he expressed that in that letter that Marcia read in her talk at the end of it was just so profound. I was just really moved to tears, to be honest. And so, and he said that right now people are not ready for this, at the time that the letter was written. And so it's kind of the ultimate time capsule, the way that I experienced that. But maybe now at this time in 2022, people are ready for that, which is really exciting. And not everybody. Because it does seem like there's two timelines that are forming, and I don't know, and perhaps nobody knows exactly how things are going to unfold, and maybe that's the medicine of it, is that we're co-creating it. There's not an external plan that's set to unfold apart from us and predetermined, and whatever. Our choices in this moment are helping to shift what type of event, you could say, or like a 0-point field, culmination, some sort of shift. I just feel in my spirit like a quickening we're moving towards some sort of event. I don't know if it's an actual shift in timelines towards either a positive or a negative. Maybe there's a point in which there is a bifurcation. I don't know. But these are just some of the things that are coming up as we consider this shift. So, and then Robert Michael came on Saturday morning, and one of the things he said, so many amazing things. Of course, Robert being, he was in the event, and he has the House of Marcus fellowship community to support people setting up PMA type structures and getting out of the box and walking their path of sovereignty. One of the things he said, though, just stuck with me. He said, the path is to consistently build your records. So what does that mean? The path is, so the way that we go forward in walking out the path of sovereignty, you could say, of self-direction, of being autonomous, is freedom, is to consistently put things, do the documentation that signifies the steadfastness of your intention over time. So it might be creating a trust or an organization or a PMA or what have you, and doing the documents, creating the documents on a regular basis. It might be some sort of other notice-based process. It might be anything that we do. The further that you can get from the idea that it's a silver bullet, the better. The more closer you can get to the idea that it's an expression of your truth and your reality over time, the better. And what I mean by that is that if, once whomever you're dealing with can see that you're the type of man or woman that is not going to go away once you're challenged, and that you have actually proven that by having your creating your records over time, then you will find that you will be challenged less and less. They will not want to deal with someone who is demonstrating a steadfastness and commitment in your own private process, be that a trust, PMA, minutes from meetings, notices and follow-up notices, and just moving towards remedy. Everything that you do as you create your records, whether they're filed privately or whether they're filed administratively or sent to someone, everything you do, consider it as you are creating reality. And it's getting that stronger. Your reality is getting that much stronger with everything you do over time. So the idea that there's a way, and I mentioned this last week, there's a way that we're all on. We're each on our own way of sovereignty, and it's not a templated thing. And it's a good idea that it's not a templated thing. And I wanted to touch on the next point is faith. And Mickey Willis, actually, creator of the Plandemic series, Plandemic 3 is coming out in July, and we watched the trailer there. It's absolutely astonishing. I mean, just super powerful. He recognized the people of faith, particularly the Christian faith, which is lovely to hear him see that. He said, all these interviews he's doing, he's like one after the other. There's people that are walking in Christ, and they have a solid Christian faith, and he's just, he's never been religious before, right? And we're all, coming, either out of religion or out of structures, man-made structures, into this essence. No matter what the label, but he was really just, said something just to recognize the people of faith and the commonality of authentic faith that we're coming to, and not in an external future, but in this moment, right? So our faith doesn't revolve around Jesus coming back and pulling us out of here, for example, right? Or the aliens. We have faith in aliens, like the aliens are going to come and everything's going to be okay. Or Trump, or QAnon, or any of this stuff. That's all bonus, right? Any of that, if that's real, it happens the way that we predict in our own minds, which obviously most of the time our predictions are not how it unfolds, but any external such event is maybe best considered a bonus. But the real faith that we're talking about is faith that the Creator in us is stronger than the world, can overcome the world in and through me in this moment. So having that faith, to again go back for a moment to Robert Michael's statement, that we are creating our own law, right? Law for Mankind course teaches that, how we create our own law, our own reality over time. And I could say more on that, but I won't for now. I'm already over time here. The last point I'll touch on is not knowing, and this also touches on faith, that when we don't know the next step of our own process, be it as we set up a trust or a PMA, or just we seek freedom, or the next step, what our own process is unclear, is an invitation to pray and intend that be made clear from your inside out. Okay, so the temptation is, all these pathways and all these experts are saying, do it this way, no, do it this way, do it this way. And by the way, that's dissolving. That expertism is dissolving, which was spoken to by someone very eloquently within the Leadership Council on Sunday morning, that even a couple years ago, people would be saying, no, it's like this. And they'd be saying, no, it's like this. And the opportunity for collaboration was less than it is now. And he was giving the example at the recent Red Pill conference, like the community, the participants there, and everyone that was present, there's tangibly, considerably more of a feel of openness toward each other's perspective and an understanding that everyone's perspective is valid, especially when you can feel the sincerity of intention there, which makes collaboration and coming together and actual, unity through honoring the diverse perspectives as real. So, but just getting back to this, not knowing the next step of the process, or it could be the initiation process that we're all in right now. It's a good thing that it's not templated, right? It's a good thing that we're not trying to follow someone else's way, because how boring would that be? I feel that the Creator lives in and through us is most alive when we are doing our own truth synthesis within, and the Word wants to come through us as original. To be an original. Like, isn't that what it's all about? So I think it's beautiful that there's not one cookie cutter type process for our own emancipation, but that we are being pulled, within, and to do our inner processes and follow that the joy of that life and the invitations within, to continue, just to do our best to show up, because if we're doing our best, that's always good enough. And the last thing I'll say is just to touch on again, I think I may have mentioned this before, but it's really up for me right now, the power in this simple two-part intentional prayer, the alchemy, as spoken by Fortune de Saint Germain on Crow 777 radio recently, the two-part alchemy, starting something, the words and the intention, let there be light. And the authority and the truth that we have in the one, of speaking those words, of feeling and speaking those words into existence in anything we do. Let there be light in this moment, going forward. And then to bring the humility in that, where we can allow that energy to flow without the attachment to outcome. The second part is, thy will be done. So let there be light, and thy will be done. And I'm just really, really resonating with that in terms of daily living right now, because life doesn't make sense. It doesn't really feel like it has a meaning if those inner connections and the greater connections with the all, or just with the force and the spirit that wants to move through. If those aren't there, if those aren't activated, if I'm not activating those on the days that I'm not asking for that, they're the days that feel flat. That my mind can go into, I can't feel the meaning right now, like why bother kind of thing, right? But so that's there. And if you have, some days like that and other days that you're inspired, you're definitely not alone in that as well. So it's, I've just gotten so many beautiful expressions and reminders and kind of, expressions of even like things that are comforting to my soul, that we are not alone. Like we are truly moving through together as a family, as a tribe, everyone on this positive timeline, let's say, and at the same time, the sovereignty or the wholeness in each one of us is, I believe, coming more and more into being as we move through these, challenges, portals, upgrades. This beautiful paradox of being together in sovereignty. So I'll leave that with you, soul family. Love you very much, and be blessed on this beautiful day.
Hi friends, Tara here, and I've just returned from the forest, so I'm feeling extremely nurtured and rejuvenated, calm and ease, and so happy and grateful. When I am not feeling my best, when there is anxiety or depression, I just don't feel good, that lack of ease. It's a reminder that I'm out of alignment with who I really am, which is spirit. And so taking moments to connect are absolutely essential, especially in the world that we're living in. There are many distractions. There are many places to get sucked down the rabbit hole. And it is easy for the mind to get lost in negativity, drama, chaos, which is the opposite of prosperity. Now, each of us was born rich. The fact that we are here is a miracle. I forget what it is, but it's something like 100 trillionth of something, your chance of even being born. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. Regardless of all those places sometimes our mind goes, we can draw ourselves back and remind ourselves of who we really are, which is love and joy and spirit. Now, I know for me, gratitude is essential. Gratitude is a superpower. The magic of gratitude will change your whole life. And I share this with you because it has changed my life and my results in the most significant and positive and miraculous ways. Now, gratitude is a feeling. And feeling operates with the law of vibration, which is a primary law that ignites the law of attraction. And that feeling is part of the subconscious mind. When you understand that subconscious is in every cell of your body, and we act out of this part of ourselves almost exclusively, we want to be mindful of where we're focusing our energy, because what we focus on grows. So from the moment I wake up, throughout the day, to the moment I go to sleep, I am very mindful of pausing and taking moments to just give gratitude, to breathe, to stop. The magic of gratitude can change everything. Even the most challenging situation. And we have a choice. We can choose between gratitude, which is prosperity, or we can choose poverty and lack. We get to choose. If you want to get better results in your life, I would suggest choosing the gratitude. Look for the things that you can be grateful for and focus more attention on those things, and take time to really just be in that space of gratitude and the feeling of it. And I promise you, your whole life will just get better and better. I know that might seem kind of silly or unrealistic, But I can tell you right now, it works. Make it a great day.
Hey guys, just sitting here after my workout, wanted to share some thoughts that I have. Just got done watching Dr. Amanda Vollmer brilliantly and eloquently destroy this MD in a debate on the existence of SARS-CoV-2. And something came up, and it's something that I noticed in this debate with this doctor that she was debating, but also that I've noticed recently, and I'll specifically use the Dr. Brian Ardis snake venom thing as my example. People don't know when it comes to science what actual evidence is. They haven't a clue what evidence is. We're not talking about simulations and computer models or pointing to the effect, pointing to what you see happening as proof of what you think is causing it. Let me say that again. We're not talking about pointing to the effect, whether it be disease or even on the flip side, the reduction of symptoms as proof of what you think is causing it. In order to prove the cause, you need to do just that. Prove the cause, prove the existence of the cause. It's a common logical fallacy called an affirming the consequent, when you point to an effect of something and you say that that is proof of what you think is the cause of something. And further, when it comes to science, and this happened with Dr. Brian Ardis' stuff, this happened tons of times in this debate that Amanda had, where you're pointing to tertiary evidence or evidence that is 2 to 3 layers up, that is established off of that initial flawed presupposition and flawed assumptions. What I mean by that is they'll point to, the genome of the virus. They'll point to, the epidemiological data of disease. They'll point to a specific symptomology and say that those are all proof of the cause. That is not proof of the cause. That is not evidence of the existence of the thing you think you're assuming exists and assuming is the cause. Pointing to the effects is not proof of the cause. Pointing to computer models and computer simulations is not scientific. It is not strictly adhering to the scientific method. So, I commented on someone's post the other day saying, or simply asking, where is the proof of Dr. Brian Ardis' claims? Where's the proof? And people kept referring back to, he's done 6 interviews. He has, multiple pages of evidence. And you go read through that so-called evidence, and it's all on assumption. It's all based off of assumptions and all based on, again, second and third order evidence, not direct evidence, not primary sources, not directly observable things that you can see as proof of the cause. People are confused on what actual evidence is, and that is a huge problem even amongst the truth community.
Hello, Dr. Devin, playing my new wild warrior woman drum from a talented friend of mine. I'm going to have to post a picture of that in my Telegram so that you can see it. And it felt appropriate to call this message to attention because I have so much fire in my soul coming off my time in California. First of all, I was just so wildly grateful to fly without the mask chaos and not have to do the charade of eating snacks or drinking or fear of, I got in some pretty heated altercations and I'm a rebel, right? So I get in trouble everywhere I go, I feel like sometimes, but it didn't always sit, and it was so uncomfortable. And so it was nice to not feel that. And I'll be honest, I don't know if anybody else has felt this, but a little frustrating or eerie to be like, are we just going to act like that didn't happen? I know everybody's happy that they're gone, but like, can we talk about why we just complied with that for 2 years? And, anyway, I could quickly digress here, but it feels to me, like someone who's in a relationship with an abusive partner and they celebrate, well, he hasn't hit me in a while. And it's like, well, can we talk about the fact that you were abused by this person? Anyway, again, just want to talk about that. Talk to me in the comments if you feel me to on that. And then the other thing I want to note is like, let's take a moment and send some love and light to California, because I went there with some hesitation and maybe a little bit of anxious feeling from my social media rhetoric or headline reading that I had an assumption of what California was or was not, right? I was nervous to go there because you read all of it. And there are, not to belittle any of the very, very big topics on the chopping block out in California. It is a real... there's a lot to unpack there. And let's talk about how beautiful California is. Let's talk about how vibrant California is. And let's talk about how many powerful, driven, committed servant warriors are out there. There are a lot of doctors, and Renette Sinham and Stan Holm and Jeff Weitzman and Molly and her farms. There's so many people who stand in California, and Mike Winter. There's just all these people and that are standing, and they're not going to go anywhere. And so I have faith, and I'm holding big space for healing and transformation to happen in California. Because I expect miracles. Anything could happen, right? And I can see why my friends don't want to leave, even though all these policy look like they're coming down the pipeline, because it is such a beautiful place. And I had the most amazing time in the beaches of Orange County and in San Diego, and the restaurants were amazing. The hotels were amazing. I didn't go anywhere and have a single issue. So we can make assumption that the world is dark, right? If I would have judged California based off of my assumptions, I would have thought I was heading in this terrible place. And in reality, perhaps the reality that I create with my mind and my vibration, it was anything but that. So let's not forget that. Couple things I want to note. Shout out to Dr. Billy DeMoss for having me for the Freedom Crusade and taking stage with him and David Avocado Wolf. It was amazing. I wanted to share a few things, practical things from David Wolf. Sign up for his newsletter. Go to his website. Sign up for it because he's sending out a lot of good stuff that I think we could all benefit from. He talked about the importance of eating black foods. He said, go crazy over black foods. So I'm, take that how you will. He talks about it more in his, but he's particularly blackberries and us getting really rooted, really grounded, and really activated in our energy, rooting back in his Chinese medicine. And he was talking about, reishi mushrooms and chaga mushrooms. And he dropped so many different things, using clay packs on the thyroid for women who are having thyroid type symptoms and issues or hair loss. And he talked about castor oil packs for detox. And the guy is just a wealth of knowledge. I learned so much in a short amount of time. And he ain't afraid to call things like he sees them. And when just stay close to people that shine authenticity. And I feel like he and Dr. Billy both do that. They inspired that of me of what would happen, Devin? Who would you be if you stopped, any pretending of being who you think you're supposed to be? What if you took off all your masks, so to speak, of, showing up in the world the way you think you ought to, and you just really embodied and stepped into, and I feel like I've done a lot of work in this area, and then you meet people who are next level speaking their truth, and you're like, I can do better. I can step up further. And so that was really inspiring. And he also said, he called out weaponizing the division. Oh, he also said, you guys, you got to eat lots of blood oranges. So go get your blood oranges. just eating food with intention is probably the biggest thing I took out, because he, is like falling in love with the geometry of food and really understanding that these plants carry medicine. And is like, even though I know some of these things, I just want to get more curious about the foods that I eat, the trees and plants and flowers that are around me. And so I was just really grateful for him. Dr. Billy, he's always amazing. And I think what I would share from him biggest is to lead your community. And so whether that's taking one person to coffee, or it's hosting, a dinner with friends or colleagues, or a lunch and learn if you're a practitioner or a professional, whatever it is, look at how you can pour into your community, because Dr. Billy has networked with a lot of really amazing people there. And there was, 300 people came out for this event that we had. I think they had 800 when Bobby Kennedy came out to speak. And he's just really solid. And every couple months, I'm going to do something that pours into my home. And if we all did that, if we all just really focused on our city, on our town, on our network within our offices and the works that we do, on our teammates and our employees, like, that's how we change the world. And so just, again, so much inspiration. I'm flipping my notebook because there's so much. You guys, we've already hit you up for this, but Liberty's Horizon is probably the most empowering, confirming, and challenging, in a really, really good way, seminar event that I've ever been to. And so the investment to get the virtual, I can't emphasize enough, because if this exists in this way somewhere else, I don't know of it. Like, it was really specific to transitioning to live in the private, to really understanding who you are and what you stand for. The very first speaker, if you just invest to watch her talk, Marsha Ann, she was worth her weight, and I will echo you. So stop, put your feet on the ground, put your hands on your heart, and I'm going to share a question with you that you can use for a compass anywhere you go. Are you ready? So if I dump out, right, the cup of all the things I think I know, and I just get really curious and open for a minute, right? And I empty my mind and I ask this question. Ready? What do I know for sure? What do I know for sure? Take that question and wear it as a lens as you filter through everything we've gone through, everything we're going through, and everything that is to come. And if we could just stay curious and really use our critical thinking of, what do I know for sure? Life gets different. And we have to, instead of challenge the world, challenge ourselves. What do I know for sure? Because when you can stand in knowing you are truly sovereign and free, when you stand in who you are, where you're going, life shifts, right? And God, she was just instead of feeling like we have to go do it, she just reiterated that we have to be it. Freedom and sovereignty aren't something we have to go do. They are something we have to embody. When you understand that this is a relationship between you and God. So, guys, this is just confirming, like I said, taking the Law for Mankind courses, taking Marsha's courses, really understanding my rights, my God rights, my universal rights, not the rights of a U.S. quote citizen. It blows your mind. And it's all about, substance over form. Like, we talk about these forms, these policies, these mandates, and we can get lost in that minutia. And it's really the substance of who you, the man, who you, the woman, are. And when you know that, you embody a whole different energy field. And this is tapping into your God consciousness and truly claiming your power. I really enjoyed Jason Shirka's meditation and his invitation to ask, am I here? Am I in my body? And evaluating where I'm at. I loved, there was such a golden thread of peace through all of the speakers. And I know Christo specifically talked about this. And he said, each interaction, challenge, relationship is a contract of sorts. And so we either choose whether we're in war or we're in peace. And so when we're in war, there is either a winner and a loser, which is the old paradigm. It's the old dichotomy. It's an illusion when in the private, there's only winners. And so one way, again, here's another anchor. If you put your hand on your heart, another anchor is, I come in peace. And so I'll give you a very practical little tidbit here. I posted something to YouTube yesterday and it got taken down in 2 hours. And it said, strike against you. You went against the community. And I got pissed and I immediately went to war because I had holy rage inside of me for what I was posting, this beautiful song from The Big Idea that this woman wrote for mothers of vaccine injured children. And I was like, what do you mean? You can't take this down. And I was at war and I created a lot of chaos for myself. And then when I remembered Christo's word of, I come in peace, this is my choice. I either live in war or I live in peace. So in peace, I sat down and I responded to YouTube and I just said, hey, like, what'd I do wrong? And so that I can make appropriate edits. And they reversed it because I hadn't done anything wrong. But because I stood in who I was and I entered the conversation in peace, it changed the outcome, but bigger than that, it changed my internal vibration, my perception of the world that I'm living in. Total freaking game changer. The other guy I want you to look up is Ron Gibson and then Land Titles. Guys, go get it. There's too much to pour in here. Ron Gibson, Land Titles, go do the work. And what I'll say to you from his voice through mine is, it is time to stand as the kings and queens that you are. This is your divine right, and stop acting like slaves and stand as a king. And it just, oh man, reverberated. He's like, this all starts with the land. So if you own a home, if you have a mortgage, you need to get into this conversation, because our ownership, our rights to the land can and probably will be a big piece in the shifting paradigm and the awakening that we're a part of. In material like this, because I could go through so many things. I'm flipping through. Guys, look at the 6 pillars of the event. We don't need more info, right? We live in the information age. You could Google anything. We need to do the reps. So we need more understanding. We need more substance, right? And then when we have that, when we have deeper understandings of our health and wellness, of our land and food, of our education, of our consciousness, of our law, when we have deeper understandings in who we are and what we're doing here as individuals and as a collective, life just shifts, because it's not about something out there, and it all roots back in who we are. We cannot change the world if we won't change our own hearts. We cannot change our state or our nation if we aren't committed to changing our minds and centering our spirit. And so again, this was such a confirming thing of and this is where the challenge part enters. I got a lot of work to do. Right? I need to stand with liberty with an I. I need to understand the history that the United States is not what I thought it was. It is a corporation, right? That there is much more when it comes to PMAs and private trusts and private ministries, that even when it comes to licensure for doctors, we're going to have big choices to make over the months and years to come. And we're just going to have to get radically honest within ourselves and do the reps and do the work and read the books and go to the seminars and hear it and read it and speak it in 1,000 ways until we understand it. This is all a road back home to God. It is fully embodying what it means to be a spiritual being having a human experience. Man. There's so many things. David Wolf came back out. Mike Winter's, you guys, Cordal. Whatever Mike Winter tells you to do, just do it. I mean, so this is where I'll close, because I'm going to have to come into next week, so otherwise this could be an hour long. Go get the Liberty Horizon virtual, because I can't disseminate it for you. You cannot learn from experiences that you don't have. So you're going to have to go get this, and you're going to have to do the reps right alongside me. I will work them with you, brothers and sisters. I am in it with you for the long haul. But those in-person gatherings and places like this, getting to meet Mike Winner for the first time and getting to see Josh Del Sol for the first time, getting to hold them in my arms, getting to see these speakers in person and get to feel the collective of the couple hundred people sitting there sharing these conversations together, you can't describe it. It's totally different. And so when you see these things pop up in your area, or you can get on a plane to get to them, please go, because you just can't get it on a visceral level unless you're there, or unless you're willing to do the work over and over again. And Mike Winner is one of those people that I've had the honor to work with over these last few months. And yet getting to meet him and feel the wealth of his knowledge when it comes to Chordal and decentralization and where this is really headed, and how we can create a new matrix for ourselves here in a healthy, honoring, respectful, integral way. He's the real deal. And, I knew I had found something special with the event, but what I can tell you now, after deeper bonding experiences at the Big Idea and the Health Freedom Symposium with Katie and Alec, and after this weekend at Liberty Horizon with Josh and Mike, and after hours of calls and voice memo trading with Tara, this is the real deal. And I hope you can feel it in our vibration of these weekly calls, that we may not have it all figured out, but together in this sacred space, we have it all right here in the now. We are writing history. We're not looking for it. We're creating it with every single choice. The event is you. The event is me. The event is the restructuring of our lives and choices. The event is taking the job of our dream and making the necessary changes in our professions. The event is eating healthier foods and reforming the matrix of our physical, and emotional bodies. The event is these moments that we share together in story each week. And the event is this chapter of mankind's story where we get to decide the fate of generations to come. Now that is an exciting time, an exciting calling to be a part of, and your soul called out for it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I love you.